Hello and welcome back to the KCC channel. I'm Rob and I hope you're having a wonderful day today. Today we're jumping into some I Don't Work Here Lady. Our first story today comes to us from Wanderlock. I do work here, but I also live here, and this isn't PetSmart lady. Let's jump right in. Alrighty, this is my first time posting here on this subreddit, so I'll try to keep it concise. I've spent a lot of time enjoying the stories from you all, and I'm happy to be able to contribute. Please excuse any spelling or grammar errors. English is my first language, I'm just dumb. Recently, I have begun a dog walking and pet sitting business that I run out of my house with express permission from my landlord. I've worked with animals for years, and I'm grateful to finally be able to do it for a halfway decent living. That being said, I've been much busier than I anticipated, and as such, I've been a little stressed about overextending myself. I even had a nightmare about forgetting that I had to watch a dog, and the dog was left alone at their house for several days. Even though it was just a nightmare, this prompted me to get more serious about my organization and scheduling so I wouldn't miss anything. Nowadays, my schedule is rock solid, and I've been super on top of it. I only say that so you guys can understand the immense confusion I felt when my doorbell rang at 2 p.m. on Monday and I heard a dog barking outside. I get my dogs calm down and answer the door. On my doorstep is an elderly woman, maybe 80 years old, holding a very cute West Highland Terrier. For anyone not familiar, they're the dog on the Caesar dog food package. I'm honestly so confused by her being there that my mouth does not form words. I just sort of stand there, opening and closing my mouth like a fish out of water, while my brain is just screaming, "You forgot! You forgot!" After a moment, she graciously saves me from myself and talks first. I'll refer to her as LOL for Little Old Lady. "Hello, I'm Little Old Lady, and I'm here to drop off my dog for boarding." At this point, I'm almost positive that my nightmares have literally come true, and I have straight up deleted a dog from my short-term memory. But as I'm racking my brain, I cannot remember ever seeing this dog or woman before. "Hi, who is this little guy?" "This is Chico. I was hoping to leave him with you for the weekend while I visit my grandson." Okay, hoping. That's an interesting word. Now I'm less anxious but more confused. Okay, have we spoken about Chico before? "Oh, no, but your neighbor Laura said you watch dogs, so I just brought him over." Okay, now this is making more sense. Laura was my previous neighbor who had recently moved out. I had watched her dogs dozens of times, and she was always very kind to give my name out to people who were looking for dog sitters. Sometimes, however, she did treat me as on-call, in the sense that she would call me as she was pulling out of her driveway to tell me she was leaving for the weekend and I would need to watch the dogs. She would play it off like she was so frazzled and forgot, but it started to get old after the third or fourth time. At this point, I have Little Old Lady with her energetic dog on my porch and still more questions than answers, so I invite her in while I try to get to the bottom of it. Come to find out, Little Old Lady was a friend of Laura's mother, whom I had never met. Laura had a couple of my business cards at her house, and apparently, the last time her mother was visiting, she took a couple of them to give to her friends. Apparently, Laura inherited her entitlement from her mother, as her mother told Little Old Lady I was available anytime for dog sitting. Literally anytime. Worse yet, because Laura was my next door neighbor, Laura's mom figured out my address and gave it to Little Old Lady. Because of that behavior, Little Old Lady had the impression that I was a dog boarding facility, and she was just as confused as I was to arrive at a normal-looking house. After we got it all explained, Little Old Lady and I had a pretty big laugh about it. Little Old Lady was super apologetic and sweet, but I knew it really wasn't her fault, so there was no harm done from her. She was just a sweet old lady who got a little confused. Unfortunately, because I was already booked, I couldn't watch Chico. But good news, Little Old Lady determined she could just visit her grandson this weekend, and I went ahead and booked it for her. Chico and my dogs had plenty of time to socialize while Little Old Lady and I were chatting, and they were becoming fast friends. I think I may have just fallen backwards into a great client. Still, I was a little miffed, so I called Laura to please ask her mother to not tell people that they can just come by anytime. Laura was legitimately confused as to why it was an issue. After a few minutes of going around in circles, I simply said I can't watch any dogs that I don't know, and left it at that. While I wished that was the end of it, 2 days later, Wednesday, yesterday at the time of this post, Laura calls me to tell me she has just left her house and could I please watch the dogs. I gently reminded her that she had just moved 3 hours away and I was no longer her neighbor. She just gave a half-hearted "oh" and hung up. God bless her. That is absolutely awesome. Let's just call up the dog sitter we used to have, that lives 3 hours away, and tell them as we're leaving the house that they have to come down and watch our dogs. You're a dumb butt. Do me a quick favor, have a look down below the video. If that subscribe button's still red, it means you're not actually subscribed to the KCC channel. Please hit that subscribe button for more daily Reddit stories. Our next story today comes to us from Ember Jelly. Elderly woman asks me to help her find a nursing bra. Let's jump right in. This happened about 5 years ago or so. I took my infant son with me shopping at Walmart. I decided to cut through the women's clothing section aisle to bypass a few straggling shoppers taking up the main aisle when I was stopped by an elderly woman. This woman tried to speak to me but was having some difficulties as her English wasn't all that great. We have a lot of different ethnic groups in my community, and due to my job, I have to interact with people who can barely speak English frequently. I'll paraphrase what she said to me to make the story quicker. "Can you please help me? I'm looking for a nursing bra." I was confused as to why an elderly woman needs a nursing bra. "I'm sorry, I don't work here and I don't know where they are, but they should be in this general area. Please, can you please help me? Store staff won't help as I don't speak English well." FYI, the majority of staff at this store are from her origin country, so either they are totally North Americanized and know little about the language of their family, or they just don't want to help her. I was trying to wrangle my son into sitting properly in my arms as he didn't want to sit in his car carrier. "I'm sorry, I don't know where to find them and I don't work here, but I can help you look." "Oh, thank you, thank you. My daughter just had a baby and she asked me to get her a nursing bra. I don't even know what it is." I explained what a nursing bra was as I helped her look. Eventually, I found them as the undergarment section wasn't labeled correctly. Where a sign said nursing bras were located was actually socks. No big reno or revamp here, just laziness. "Can you please help me find her size? She says she normally wears size such and such, but she has grown since then." Not surprising growing that little one in her. Unfortunately, I don't know what size she would be now, but this one here says it's more adjustable for women normally her bust size. I'd recommend getting your daughter to try it on before removing the tags and exchange it if she needs a size up or down. "Oh, thank you. I knew when I saw you that you would be a big help. I saw your baby in your arms and knew you could help. Staff here aren't very nice." Her grandchild and my son now go to school together. Same class this year, apparently. We ran into each other the other day and she remembered me. I'm pretty sure this subreddit has the highest concentration of feel-good stories. Either that or there's just somebody cutting onions in the house and they didn't tell me. Our next story today comes to us from Zarin. Management material. Let's jump right in. The men in my family have been blessed or cursed with premature aged hair. Whether this is premature balding, graying, or both, we start showing signs of being a mature male in our hair in our early teens at our latest. On top of this, I am a teacher and have been told that this gives me a very commanding posture when I am talking to people. I'm explaining this because I have been confused for a manager at most places that I work because people assume the older male is a manager. I don't work at Lowe's. I have never worked at Lowe's. And in my life, I've probably only been to this Lowe's like 5 times. I am currently at Lowe's in search of items to build a pet project of mine, a massive D20 over 2 feet in diameter that can be thrown around and not cause physical damage if a child is hit. As I am discussing things like different foams to use for the sides, different types of skeletal support, if scuffing it would help or hurt, and how to support the corners, I am steadily gaining more and more Lowe's employees around me as they ask each other for their different experiences. About 5 minutes goes by, and while they do their best to assist me, we finally get to the point that their idea well has run dry. Eventually, I realize that they don't feel comfortable leaving without me giving them permission to go away. "Thank you for your help, guys. I think I've gotten everything I need from you. Now I'll have to make some of my own decisions." I state more or less, letting them relax and disappear into various parts of the store like the chained phantoms they are. Finally comes an exasperated voice, which was housed by an irate woman who was a haircut away from being a photographic example of a Karen. Before I can say anything, this woman comes towards me in a huff, literally dragging one of the store's employees by his sleeve. The poor college-age boy, who had probably thought that a job at Lowe's wouldn't add to his stress level when going to college, gives me the look of someone who thinks he's about to be executed. I don't know what that woman had said to him, but he was clearly reconsidering all of his life choices up to that point. "Sir, I want you to know that your employee," she states, tugging on the boy's shirt, "has been disrespectful and completely incompetent." This caused an aha moment for both myself and the employee. I thought I had said or done something to annoy this woman, and she was going to complain about me to the nearest employee, and the employee thought she was bringing him to her husband to get a secondary tongue lashing. Ma'am," the boy started, which drew daggers from the woman's eyes. But before he continued, I raised my finger at him and gave him the same face I give my students when we both know they're being stupid. "You will have your time to talk in a moment. I'll handle this for now," I state before turning to the Karen. "I'm sorry that you had a bad time, ma'am. I'll handle this situation from here. If you need further assistance, please feel free to go up to one of the front desks and explain your needs to them. They'll get you some further assistance." "Finally," she states, practically preening on the fact that she's ruined someone's day. With a flip of her hair, she then marched out of the aisle the three of us were occupying. I wait until she turns the corner before looking at the employee. We both know that I don't work here, right? He nods, unsure of what's going to happen. I shake my head and roll my eyes. "Welcome to retail. Take a small 5-minute break, and hopefully she'll be gone before you're back on the floor." I then give him a grin. "That's an order from your manager." I could see the weight disappear from his shoulders as he takes a deep breath. "Half-inch PVC pipe?" I ask, having forgotten where I was instructed to go from the last conversation I had. "2 aisles over that way," he says, pointing. "Thanks," I respond, before walking away and hoping I left the employee with a slightly better day. Ah, yes, teachers. Some of them are absolutely experts in conflict resolution. OP really sounds like the person you'd like to have around when you're having an encounter with a Karen. Our next story today comes to us from TLittle197. "I'm literally in uniform." Let's jump right in. So I just got home and had this wonderful exchange. I'm in the US Navy, and I came home to let the maintenance man into my apartment to work on something. He finishes his work, and I wasn't going to leave him unattended to go change, but I did take my blouse off to cool off. I see him out and remember that my lock was sticking and it was hard to get the key in. Rather than call him back over to fix it, I remember I have some pew-pew oil and run back inside to grab it. Return to my door, spritz, test it with the key, mission accomplished. As I'm about to go back inside, I hear the dreaded, "Hey, you, come here." Knowing what's coming, I think, great, now I have to deal with this. So I turn around to be greeted by, you guessed it, Karen, haircut and all. The following is a summary of the exchange. "What are you doing?" "Fixing the lock. It was sticking, so I'm just lubing it up." "Exactly. Why aren't you fixing mine?" Just shut up, get over here and fix my lock. I put in a maintenance request 2 days ago." "Already not having any of this?" "No." "Excuse me? How dare you? I'll have you know I'm friends with the office ladies and your boss. I can get you fired for laziness." "I doubt that." "It's true. Now fix this lock or I'll have your job." "No, I don't work here, idiot. I'm literally wearing my Navy uniform. I owe you nothing. And I'm going to go back inside now." Well, you still should have helped me." "Maybe had you been polite about it, I would have, but certainly not now. I'm going inside and you can F off, pound sand, and kick rocks in whichever order you feel like." I shut the door 5 minutes ago and she's still screaming and pounding on my door. Music. Well, OP, whip out that cell phone and start recording that because that footage could help you out in the future. This person is knocking on your door being all crazy, and you never know what's going to happen next time you go out and they're out there. Just make sure you have something recording next time you see them. Our next story today comes to us from Formo Mormo. Head Start Karen. Let's jump right in. Just had a unique for me I don't work here lady experience. I was at the Mart of Wall, finished stuffing my cart with a large grocery list, and headed to the checkouts. They only had 2 manned registers with at least 5 carts waiting for each one, so I headed to the self-checkout area where they have 2 checkouts with belts for larger orders. Luckily, someone was just finishing paying, so I was able to walk right up and start filling the belt. After 7 years on the business side of a register, 4 at the Mart of Wall, I am faster than almost every cashier at this store. So I get down to business and start ringing up as fast as I can. Enter our Karen. On the other side of the register is the line for the other large order self-checkout. So I am facing those waiting in line. I am pushing through my produce when I start hearing ahem and excuse me in a high-pitched voice, repeatedly. I look up, and in the seat of the cart opposite me is a 2 to 3-year-old girl dressed way too good for this place. She is waving at me and desperately trying to get my attention. She keeps clearing her throat and repeating, "Excuse me, we need some help." And my favorite, "Look at me." Her father, dressed way more normally for the store, keeps trying to get her to stop and explain that I am just a customer, but she is not having it, and he is having a hard time not laughing. My scanning faltered a bit as I muffled my own laughter, but I soldiered and she became more agitated. She even started hitting the shelf on the other side to get my attention. I finally finished my order and they had barely advanced. As I finished paying, I greeted her with a friendly "hello," grabbed my receipt, and left. I could hear her having a fit as I walked out of the store. I feel for that father. He has a handful, and it is only going to get worse. You know, OP, this is a little toddler in a cart we're talking about. She learned that behavior from somewhere. I feel sorry for the dad because he has to go home with that little craphead of a kid, but I'm guessing that his wife is just as bad. Check out all 5 OPs linked in the description down below. I thank you for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow.